Thumbing the 6 gun actually has to result in two things. First, you have to fully cock the gun. Now, as obvious as that sounds, anyone who's ever tried this figures out in the first 30 seconds that the most common mistake is having your thumb slip from the hammer prematurely in the middle of the draw. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if that hammer is not all the way back with the cylinder indexed, it doesn't matter how fast you go because the gun's not going to go bang. But the other thing that has to happen is whatever motion or method we use to get the hammer back, we must end up with the proper grip on the gun. There's no way to overemphasize the importance of a good grip in any kind of shooting, but relative to fast draw, if you grip the gun incorrectly, you're not going to have either stability or good directional control of the gun. And the faster you go, the worse it will get. In fact, I'll even go further. If you grab the gun incorrectly, you will actually give the gun a mechanical advantage over your hand. And now when you go to accelerate that gun, you're going to exponentially increase the forces on your hand and wrist. You don't want to do that. We want to try and eliminate them or negate them, balance them out as much as possible. So we really do have to start with the grip. New shooters, almost without exception, have a tendency to grab the gun like this, from the side. Notice I'm sticking my finger through. See how the back of my hand is flat against with my forearm here? This is wrong for a whole bunch of reasons. Now watch what happens when I draw the gun out this way. The first thing you're going to notice is how far off axis the gun is with my arm. This gives you that lateral instability, and it's going to give the gun a tendency to twist in your hands if you're holding it that way. The other mistake is that I'm gripping the gun much too low on the stock. What you need to do is grip the gun way up here and keep it in a nice straight line with your arm. You'll notice that when the hammer's cocked, everything draws a straight line up my arm. I'm grabbing the gun literally as high as I can get it without interfering with that hammer. Now, since you can't see the back strap in my hand, I got a couple of examples for you. If I told you to push on this broom, would you grab it from the side here and push with your thumb? No, of course you wouldn't. You'd turn your hand out and you'd push on it this way. Well, guess what? That's where the back strap of the gun has to go. You don't want to grab it with your thumb behind it this way. You want to have it from the web of your hand through the hollow of your hand right down to the heel of your hand. That's where it's got to sit. All right? Take a good look at that, and now let's apply it to the gun stock. But for a moment, let's not think of it as a gun stock. Let's say that this is the handle on a lawnmower, and you're going to go push on it. Well, once again, would you grab it with this flat, with your palm on top, and push with your thumb? No, of course you wouldn't. You put your whole hand behind it. Now you can push, right? Well, guess what? That's where the gun goes. Just like that. Now you can see, when the gun's in this position in my hand, just by tightening my grip and locking my wrist, I have excellent stability of the gun. It doesn't flop around, it doesn't twist and turn, it just sticks where I put it. And that's where that one makes all the world of difference as to where you grab the gun. Okay? Now, after seeing those two examples, you're probably saying to yourself, well, of course, I don't want my thumb behind the gun when I'm trying to stab it towards the target. I want my whole hand behind it. Makes sense, right? So the question comes up as to why would we grab the gun wrong in the first place? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It's because the first time anybody straps one of these things on, they're only thinking of one thing: pulling the gun out. And now pulling is something you do with your fingers. Okay, this way, pulling or lifting. As if I was to bend over and pick up a briefcase, you see, I would grab it like this. So it's natural for you to think when you're talking about pulling the gun that you would want to hook it from underneath. It just wouldn't occur to a new shooter until you look at the entire process that has to go on, that relative to the position of the gun in the holster, your hand's not going to be on the side, your palm is going to be much more on top of the gun, okay, on top to pull out. See, it would not make sense. But of course, we have to have the grip exactly there to get the kind of control that we want. So again, it's one of those simple concepts that's easy to use, makes a world of difference, but it's not at all obvious when you start out in this game. All right? So now with the grip taken care of, now we can talk about the thumb and the hammer and the trigger.